We're living in a period when there's a great discussion on morality in this country. There's a great discussion among the older people. The young people of our generation are but just shadows of the older generation. The sins of the fathers are being visited upon the children. The moral and spiritual decadence of adults is being reflected in an intensified departure from moral and spiritual values by young people who have no norm, no moral norm for their actions today. It's the elders, the older generation, that prints and sells the pornographic literature that's on the newsstands of the nation. It's the older generation that makes the lewd and immoral and salacious films. It's the older generation that imports and sells the dope. It's the older generation that is setting a poor example in morality. Not only sexual morality, but lying and cheating. In every area of our life, until chiseling and cheating and shortcuts are taken everywhere, and our young people see their fathers and mothers telling so-called white lies, cheating on income tax, taking shortcuts, and they throw up their hands and say, so what? If they can do it, so can we. A young man wrote me a letter the other day. He said, I'm 17 years of age. I was supposed to be at a boyfriend's house to spend the night. Instead, I was in my room. My parents came in with some of their friends. And he said until 2 o'clock in the morning, I saw an orgy, the likes of which I had never dreamed of. And I have now found that my parents have been doing this for years. What is the university student attitude? A growing number of college students do not consider that premarital relations are immoral. On the contrary, they view it not only as a natural expression of affection, but as a valuable experience in personal growth. There's been a shift of society's code of judgment away from moral codes based on religion. And today's campus codes may be tomorrow's national morality. In the 20s, a mother would wonder, what should I tell my daughter about sex? Today the problem has changed to, is there anything left to tell her? Her father took his son aside and said, son, don't you think it's time we talked about the facts of life? The son said, I sure do, Dad. What do you want to know? A 20-year-old Harvard junior was quoted by Newsweek the other day as saying, if a Harvard man dates a Radcliffe girl consistently, their friends just naturally assume that they're being intimate. A University of Chicago co-ed says, if two people are in love, there's nothing wrong with their sleeping together. Dr. Reisman, the great sociologist at Harvard University, says there are many people who insist it's always been bad. There's been no change. He says, I insist there has been a great change. Yes, there's been a change. And the pressure today on the university and college campus toward immorality is a tremendous thing. The moment you walk on campus, you feel the pressure. Newsweek magazine says, almost from the moment they first stroll through Taylor Gate at Vassar or meet their first dates under Wheeler Oak in Berkeley, many of today's co-eds begin agonizing about morality. One junior is quoted as saying, if a girl reaches 20 and she's still a virgin, she begins to wonder whether there's something wrong with her as a woman. What about the teenagers? When they see all of this and witness all this in the older generation among the university and college students. Well, we've got our teenagers in some communities today attending formal dances at 10. They have steady dates at 13 and are encouraged to neck. And they're driving their own cars at 16. And they're going to college by 17. And they suddenly wake up they never had a childhood at all. They were taught to be adults all the way through. And I find that teenagers today are concerned about what's right and what's wrong. And they're not being told what's right and what's wrong. And they want somebody to stand up and say, what is right and what is wrong? How far can I go?